What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin and Markets. Today, pretty big news, breaking news dropped this morning with the SEC uh, turning back the filings, or returning the filings, not rejecting them outright, but returning them back to the individual exchanges that have filed Bitcoin ETFs recently. Of course, the market sold off on the news. We're going to read through that Wall Street Journal article that broke this news, kind of like a leak from the inside of the SEC. We're going to look through that, look at the price charts, and see what else comes up. If my guys over there on Telegram have any comments to make or topics to bring up, maybe we can do that. So, okay, let's dive into the website first of all. So let me share this. If you guys are new to the show, Bitcoin and Markets has been the longest running Bitcoin macro podcast since 2016. I've made some great calls throughout the time. Haven't been going 100% during all that time. I've taken a few, months off during the kind of bear markets, but this is roughly 350 episodes. I have 250 weekly free newsletters that have gone out. I have membership stuff on my website at bitcoinandmarkets.com. We have a community that is over on Telegram, t.me/Bitcoin and Markets. Check all that stuff out. I appreciate everybody that supports over there on bitcoinandmarkets.com because this is a listener-supported podcast. As you can see here on the screen, this is the website. Market Pro number 19 went out. I talked specifically about the ETF stuff and then dove into the quarterly and semi-annual charts, including monthly charts too. But since this is the end of the quarter and the end of the first half, there's a lot of stuff we can look at. We can look at our indicators from a monthly perspective and a quarterly perspective. So I did a deep dive on that in the member tier of my technical analysis. But I do that free weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday called the Bitcoin Fundamentals Report. Anybody can sign up for that. So, all right, what else? That is it for the website. Let's dive right into the article that dropped this morning. I have archived it here. Let's zoom in on it a little bit. And from the Wall Street Journal, SEC says spot ETF filings are inadequate. And the minute that this dropped, I think maybe Watcher Guru on Twitter dropped this. And I was just perusing Twitter as I was starting to write stuff for the members over there on the website. And it said this headline. I posted it into Telegram, and let me go and see what my initial reaction was, because I was like 1 minute after this dropped, I put it in here. Okay, and then I linked to this article, but what did I say here? Sorry, guys. Okay, so my initial reaction was that there's mixed messages here. They're not really rejecting it. They are implicitly approving it. But it seemed weird because of the timing. The timing was that we have been waiting for them to accept the filing from BlackRock. So the way that these things work out, from my understanding, I'm not an ETF expert, but I'm, listen to the ETF experts. They said that, so BlackRock filed, then they have up to 2 weeks to accept it. And then once they accept it, once the SEC accepts the filing, then they'll get a deadline for approval or denial or delay. We hadn't even gotten the acceptance yet. So the ticking clock hadn't even started. And this was rejected or pushed back to the people filing it, not BlackRock, but actually I think the exchanges are the ones that are officially filing these things. So it got kicked back to the exchange, which in BlackRock's case is NASDAQ. And they were told to correct some stuff. So the timing just struck me very, very quickly as weird. Why would they reject something so quickly before they even got it, before they even accepted it and gave it a timeline? So this is different in character, completely different in character than all the other previous denials. There's something been like 30 ETFs now that have been denied. Spot ETFs have been denied by the SEC. All of them were delay. Some of them were actually pulled back, like the people that filed actually withdrew those filings, but they've all been delayed. This would be the first one that would be like this, where before they even accepted it, they said, go back and amend it, then turn it back in. So anyway, let's read through this article and see what we can find out. So the Securities and Exchange Commission said a recent wave of applications filed by asset managers to launch spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds are inadequate, according to people familiar with the matter. So this is people familiar. This was already an unnamed source. We don't know who it is. Apparently somebody at the SEC has said this, but this word inadequate is what, it was clickbaity, right? And that's what happened on the charts. The charts initially reacted to that. But the agency informed exchanges NASDAQ and CBOE, which filed the applications on behalf of the asset managers, including BlackRock and Fidelity Investments, that the filings aren't sufficiently clear and comprehensive, the people said. Prices of Bitcoin and other crypto-related stocks have surged since mid-June when BlackRock filed paperwork with the SEC for an ETF that holds actual Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency has climbed about 20%, rising above 30,000 for the first time since April. Shares of Coinbase Global, which is listed as the custodian for the BlackRock fund's holdings, have soared more than 30% over the same period. A wave of traditional and crypto asset managers followed in BlackRock's footsteps. Fidelity Investment, Cathie Wood's ARK Investment Management, Invesco, WisdomTree, Bitwise Asset Management, and Valkyrie all reactivated or amended their applications for a spot Bitcoin ETF in recent days. An ETF that tracks the actual price of Bitcoin would mark a watershed moment in the industry because it would provide wider access to the cryptocurrency. They all throughout this crypto asset, cryptocurrency. these are just, obviously we have a long way to go, guys. We are so early when everything is crypto. Bitcoin is not crypto. Crypto is not Bitcoin. All right. It would allow investors to buy and sell Bitcoin through a brokerage account as easily as shares of stocks. The SEC has repeatedly rejected such funds going back to 2017 on the grounds that they are vulnerable to fraud and market manipulation. At least half a dozen ETFs that own Bitcoin futures are already on the market, and including a 2x leveraged Bitcoin futures ETF, which is crazy that they would approve that before a spot. Investors and analysts viewed the bid by the world's largest money manager as the best hope yet for a spot Bitcoin ETF. And that's kind of my exact words. This has been the best chance that we've had to get a spot Bitcoin ETF, partly because of its near perfect track record seeing applications through. Some industry watchers predicted that BlackRock's filing would appease the SEC's concerns through an agreement to share surveillance of a spot Bitcoin trading platform with NASDAQ, which would list the ETF. Yet the SEC told the exchanges that it returned the filings. Okay, so buried, this is the important sentence, buried halfway down the page, okay, almost at the bottom. Yet the SEC told the exchanges that it returned the filings because they didn't name the spot Bitcoin exchange with which they are expected to have a surveillance sharing agreement or provide enough information about the details of those surveillance agreements. Asset managers can update the language and refile. A CBOE spokeswoman said it plans to update and refile. NASDAQ and the SEC declined to comment. Representatives for BlackRock, Fidelity, Invesco, WisdomTree, and ARK declined to comment. Representatives for Bitwise and Valkyrie didn't respond to requests for comment. Okay, so this is the important paragraph, that this is because of the spot Bitcoin exchanges. I thought for sure that BlackRock had mentioned that this surveillance sharing agreement was going to be with NASDAQ and Coinbase. But I went into their filing dug into this filing here. I'll go to this, share this screen. This is their filing with the SEC. And I went through this whole thing and could not find any mention of Coinbase in the surveillance sharing agreement. So they did not specify that, but they did say Coinbase. I think they used the name Coinbase like 80 times in there, talking about custody. So people just kind of assumed that Coinbase would be the exchange of significant size that BlackRock would be using. Anyways, what else can we kind of glean from this? Well, a couple days ago, I saw a tweet from Eric, what's his name? Eric Balchunas. He is from Bloomberg, the ETF guy from Bloomberg. And he was going back and forth with another ETF guy whose name escapes me right now. But they were saying like perhaps Coinbase has some secret agreement with NASDAQ, that they're going to have an exclusivity agreement with NASDAQ and BlackRock. Now, this would be very good for Coinbase because BlackRock would be a very good partner to have in their corner when it came to taking on the SEC in their most recent filing. So it's kind of like some leverage that BlackRock has with Coinbase to get this exclusivity agreement. It also is very interesting that like BlackRock didn't have the ability to corner the market with the SEC and have the SEC give them preferential treatment, like at least overt preferential treatment. But they did have the ability to corner the only like U.S. exchange that would be considered significant size that the SEC would approve. So they cornered that exchange, being Coinbase, with a sweetheart deal to have an exclusive surveillance sharing agreement with NASDAQ and BlackRock. And I think that's possibly what's going on here. So anyway, the SEC wanted to square this away and they returned it so that they could amend and refile. I think this is actually an extremely bullish case, extremely bullish development. It means the SEC is looking at this, reading through this, and they want to approve it, but they can't necessarily do that without this information. Also, it's bullish for the BlackRock filing because probably BlackRock and Coinbase have some exclusivity agreement. So that's how I'm interpreting this. There was a lot of people out there initially being bearish, and then they very quickly did a 180 and said, wait a second, maybe this is actually bullish. Let's take a look at the chart here. So this is the 1 hour chart for Bitcoin. And I'm going to snap a shot and share that with Telegram. This red is, I'm going to hide that because we don't need to see it right here. But you can see the initial sell-off, and we are back green on the day. Let's go to the daily chart. No, actually, we're red now again on the day, but the opening price was 30,445. I think we will close green, and I think this was an overreaction. Once people go and read past the headline, and people will do some podcasts, some Twitter spaces, some other things about this news, they'll find out that this was an overreaction. This is actually a bullish sign for approval by BlackRock, maybe not for these other ETFs, because if they can't use Coinbase, who else are they going to use in the US? Are they going to use this new EDX exchange? No, because it's not of significant size. Are they going to use Gemini? Maybe, but are they of significant size? I don't think so. They're not nearly as big as Coinbase is. So very, very interesting developments here. And guys, actually, that is all I have. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the mic over there on Telegram and see if anybody has any comments or topics they want to bring up, and then I'll relay that to YouTube. I think YouTube might be able to hear it though. So let's see. Anybody have any questions here on Telegram? I'll open up the mic for you. I think people might be hesitant to actually talk on the live streams. Let's see if we have any comments from the other platforms. Go ahead and drop your questions in the comment section if you have them on YouTube or Rumble. All right, Holdvetsky, I'm bringing you in. You got to unmute yourself, and welcome to the show. Yeah, I covered that right at the beginning. I think that this is the first one. All the other ETFs have been denied after a delay, or they have been withdrawn by the filing party. So I think this is the first one. It's definitely the first one that has been asked for clarity before they've accepted the filing. So they didn't even accept the filing and give a timeline yet, So this is definitely something new. And to me, that is a sign that they want to approve this. What do you think? Are you on the same boat as me on that? Yeah, great points. Okay, any other hands over here on Telegram? We'll see if that went through to YouTube and Rumble. I should be sharing my system audio, so it should be going over, but we'll see. Any other hands? All right, guys. Well, let me just check the comments one more time. No other comments from YouTube or Rumble. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me, Ansel Lindner, Bitcoin and Markets. I try to live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and as well as I'm on Thursday with Bitcoin Magazine for FedWatch. Check out all of those times. Check out the past recordings. My forecasting has been extremely accurate with price lately, and also with geopolitics, talking about China and Europe. I mean, just look at what's going on in France today, over the last 3 days, actually. Europe and Germany, their GDP continues to crash. I think the worst is still ahead of them, even though they're probably going to end the entire year at -1 or 2% GDP. Next 2024 will probably be worse for Germany. So that Europe is sliding into massive recession. China is in recession, and the US just revised its GDP up. So pretty close to what I have been forecasting for the last 2 years. But anyway, all right, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.